The brothers.
Hey guys, welcome back to the VG Bros. We are here doing a game room tour. So we've had a lot of requests for this over the years. FYI, we're in Phil's house. I don't live here. I live somewhere else. So this is his house. This is his game room. Everything in here is his, minus a couple of empty boxes or whatever. But this is pretty much all his stuff. And he has some new shelves and new displays and whatnot. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at all this.
So I just rearranged almost the entire room. The only thing in this room that hasn't been completely rearranged is what you're seeing behind us. Because I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
And it's been part of our videos for a long time. And I'm going to keep it like it is. But the rest of it is all brand new, rearranged, new shelves everywhere, new TVs down here. I'm really, really happy with the way this all turned out. And I want to show you guys. So stay tuned and let's take a look at my new game room.
Yeah, dude, there's hundreds of games in here. Some really good ones. And the display is very cool. So sit back and enjoy.
Let's do this.
Okay, we're just going to start with this shelf here. This is where I keep a lot of my boxed consoles and things like that. Most of these boxes are actually empty because I have the consoles plugged in. Actually, the original Xbox, there is an Xbox in there, and there is a 360 in that box. The Xbox One, everything else is probably empty because it's plugged in somewhere. Just some cool stuff. That's the Zelda Wii U version. It's kind of cool. I bought that right when it came out. I got Fire Emblem, a special edition. These are my 3DSs. Got a black DS there. That's my original GameCube box. Of course, that's my original Switch box. This was a OfferUp find. There's my special edition Breath of the Wild. Amazing game. PS4 Pro box. So yeah, just a couple of shelves that I think everything displays pretty well up there and kind of gets it out of the way. This is in the corner of the room. And then moving down, this is where I keep my handheld stuff. So it's kind of tucked away a little bit. There's my TV. I've got Game Boy stuff here. I've got quite a few Game Boy games. I don't know how many, 25 or 30 probably. My Game Boy Color collection is really pitiful. I don't know, there's like 6 games there. My GBA collection is also pretty pitiful. I don't go out of my way to find these. I get them at garage sales. I mean, the one thing that I do need to get better at is asking specifically for Game Boy, and I know I don't do that enough. I've had success when I've done it. Even when you ask for video games 6 times and they say no, and then you just say Game Boy, and like they don't, for some reason they don't make that. They don't think Game Boy is video game for some reason.
Right.
I don't know why, but that's just kind of how it is. So I need to get better. When they shoot me down 6 times, just say, "What about Game Boy?" You know. I think that'll work. So, anyways, I need to get better at that because my GBA collection is just really pitiful.
That was how I found Shantae at a yard sale.
Okay.
Whereas I threw out all these video game system names, and the guy just stood there and looked at me. And then when I said Game Boy, his eyes lit up, and he went inside and he brought out Shantae on Game Boy Color. I paid $1 for it.
Ridiculous.
So yeah, be specific.
Yeah. And then I do have some box Game Boy stuff, mostly Zelda stuff. I have Final Fantasy V there in the box, and then it goes into my DS collection. I don't have a huge DS collection. There's probably 20 or so games. I've got a couple of Castlevania games. This one right here might be my favorite of all time, Elite Beat Agents. It's such a fun game. Rhythm music game. I don't know why they never made a sequel. I really have no idea. Might be my favorite DS game. More DS games down here. The DS had a really huge library. Some PSP games again, just what I found at garage sales, and my PSP collection is pitiful, to say the least. And then moving all the way down here, this is my 3DS collection. I love the 3DS. Just so many great RPGs. We got Etrian Odyssey, some Zelda games, a lot of, at least I think 4 different Fire Emblem games, Dragon Quest, Bravely Default. This is a really great RPG, and there's a sequel coming out this year, which I'm excited for.
They already made a sequel.
Another sequel.
Oh.
Yeah, which is a little confusing. So, Over in the corner is, if we can bring some light over here, one of those Wii stands, and I just keep game manuals in it, and then some Wii accessories. A lot of Super Nintendo and 64 manuals that I found at garage sales. All of those are garage sale finds. Quite a lot, actually. Some really good manuals in there. I've got Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, a lot of really great manuals in there. So. And then moving away from the corner, you can see there's a TV there. So I'm just going to pan and show you the whole setup. So as you can see, I've got all these little squares, and I'll come in here. So all of these retro consoles that you can see are all hooked up to that television right there. It's playing Donkey Kong Country currently. I've got the Super Nintendo. This is my. I'll start with this one. This is the 8-port Switch, and I printed out the names of those consoles, so it's easy to go between them. And got the Super Nintendo, the NES, PS1, GameCube, Sega Genesis, Sega Dreamcast, and the N64. So those are all hooked up to that television, along with the TurboGrafx 16. And this is my little pile of TurboGrafx 16 games. These were all given to me as a gift, so I don't have really any money into the collection. There are a couple of them that I bought separately, but for the most part, this was all given to me. So really nice TurboGrafx 16. And then down there, just some Game Genies and odds and ends, some N64 Rumble packs and stuff like that. So anyway, back up to this shelf. Andy's tripping on something. As you can see, I've also got Xbox 360. This is a really cool R2D2 version. Garage sale, $10. That's my Wii U, and that's the Wii, as you can see. And this over here is the 55-inch Samsung. Currently, I've got Call of Duty running on that, and I also have the PS3. And if I go right down here, there's the PS3, which it doesn't fit in any of those shelves because it's too long. So as a result, I just keep it down here, and that's the same reason that TurboGrafx 16 is over there. It's just too long. It doesn't fit in the shelf. So anyway, these are all the controllers. So every system you see here, the controller is over here. And I've got usually 2 of each, except for the Dreamcast. I only have 1 of those, but I try to, if you look back, at least 2 of each controller is tucked away back there, just in case I have friends that come over and play, which realistically never happens.
I'm a friend.
This is my Rock Band Guitar Hero collection here. I kind of have a guilty pleasure, I guess you would say, for Rock Band Guitar Hero games.
Do you have the drum set?
In the other room I do.
Oh, okay.
I just don't have room down here.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of space.
I just couldn't get rid of my Rock Band stuff. I really do enjoy that. So
I like the drums a lot. It's fun.
yeah, I was always a guitar guy. I got ridiculously good at it. Kind of embarrassingly good at it. So some magazines down there, as you can see. So strategy guides. Up here are my handheld games. I've got the 3DS. There's a PSP back there. Really good condition PSP, almost unused. The 101 GBA SP, another 3DS, and a DS back there. Game Boy Color here, Game Boy Advance, Sega Game Gear. The screen does work, the sound doesn't work. Usually you come across the opposite issue with the Game Gears, where you have audio and no visual, but in this case it's the other way around. And I've got a couple of GBAs back there. So those are my handhelds, and I don't really play them a ton, but it's nice to have, and it's good to have these to at least test games when I find them that I want to sell from garage sales, stuff like that. So this is a shelf that I just bought from a hardware store, and this is where I keep most of my video games. Right now I have just over 900 different video games in my collection. So this is you know, these are the ones mostly that just have DVD style cases and things like that. I'll show you my cartridge collection here in a second, but we can go in a little bit starting from the top. My Sega Genesis collection is very small. I don't know what part of the country you're from, wherever you are watching this video, but here in the Northwest, we just almost never run into Sega Genesis stuff anymore. I mean, Andy, you probably feel the same way, right?
It's very rare.
Yeah.
I mean, I come across at least 5 times as much Super Nintendo as I do Sega Genesis.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, if I do find Genesis, it's all sports games.
Yep.
Like, I've left behind Genesis collections. Like, it seems counterintuitive. Like, ooh, 16-bit retro cartridge video games.
Yep.
And I look through them, and they're all...
And then it's PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a hard pass. I don't want this stuff.
This is just a bookend, C-3PO. It's just really cool. Oh, it's C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Genesis games, I got nothing to write home about. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just
Typical
typical
Sonic,
stuff.
NBA Jam.
Yeah. And these are my boxed Super Nintendo games. And I do have some really good ones here. Most of these were garage sale finds. A couple of them weren't. The only ones that are not garage sale finds would be Zelda and Super Metroid. Everything else you see here was found in a garage sale. Most of them were found at the same garage sale. If you want to check out that video, it was in our first season. I don't have any live footage of it, but we do talk about the discovery. So those are the boxed Super Nintendo games. And then coming down here, I'm going to start with I'll just start up here at the top left. I have some boxed NES games, not a ton, but again, just what I found at garage sales. The Zelda ones I've had forever. Those are not garage sale finds. But as you can see, you know, Contra, Wizards and Warriors, some other cool stuff. And then that goes right into my GameCube collection. My GameCube collection kind of blew up a little bit this year, thanks to Andy, actually, because he found a huge GameCube collection, and then we made some trades, and I ended up with a lot of those games.
Yeah, over 50 games in one yard sale score
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
for GameCube. It was an instant GameCube collection.
It was insane. So these are my really good GameCube games here. I do have one that needs a new case. This is F-Zero GX, and
The
there's
game is so hard.
it's really difficult, but it has no spine label, so I just sort of leave it there. There's no manual in it, but I mean, you know, it was like $2 at a garage sale. I'm not gonna really complain about that. I have the Zelda games, Eternal Darkness. That's a really fun one. A couple of Resident Evil games. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I don't know if you can see that. That was one that Andy found at a garage sale and made a trade. Some other RPGs. Ikaruga, fun vertical shooter. And, you know, your standard fare. Mario, Metroid, Mario Golf, stuff like that. This also needs a new case. This is a Metroid 2 Echoes, Metroid Prime 2, I should say, Echoes. And it's a Hollywood Video case. So I'd like to find a real case for that, but you know, I'm patient. I mean, eventually I'll find it at a garage sale.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to go way out of my way to find this stuff. Metroid Prime 1, just a shout out to one of the greatest games on the system that needs to be remade. The controls are quite difficult in that game.
The controls in that game are tragic because I can't play them in 2020. I can't play Metroid Prime.
I don't have the muscle memory.
It's
Some
gone.
people do. Some people played it a ton when it came out, and they still have that muscle memory.
Not
I
me.
don't.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm with you. Play it on the Wii, or download on the Wii Virtual Console.
Yeah.
The Metroid Prime trilogy. Motion controls, but still really playable.
Okay.
Anyway, there's my Metroid Prime story. Some more GameCube stuff. You know, this row doesn't have anything too great. I don't know. A lot of people really like this game, Wario World. I didn't.
I don't like.
I don't either.
I tried to play it.
I know.
I
I'm
don't
with
like
you.
it.
SSX on tour. A lot of people love this game. I've never really played it.
I never played SSX.
Yeah.
I was a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater guy. I
Yeah.
played the crap out of Tony Hawk, and those are legit good games. But I don't know about SSX.
I don't know either. Mega Man X7. I never played it, but I will someday. So anyway, those are the GameCube games. We'll go down into the Wii games. And, you know, I'm not really a huge fan of the Wii. This is my entire Wii collection right here that you're looking at. The motion controls for me just breaks.
It spoils a lot of
Oh.
otherwise good games. It really does.
Shout outs, I would say these Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, probably the two best games on the system because the motion controls are just not very intrusive. And I do really like Twilight Princess, and there's other ways to play Twilight Princess that don't have motion controls. So, some RPGs. The last story, Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem was a garage sale find. I effectively paid nothing for it because I sold off as I dropped it on the floor. I sold off the other games that I found in that same find, which made that game free. So, yeah, there's a lot of shovelware in the Wii. Yeah, I just don't play a lot of the Wii. Motion controls.
I'm with you.
Yep, it just breaks games. Oh, down here, some boxed N64 games. These are mostly garage sale finds, except for the Zelda ones. And these 4 all came from the same garage sale. And there's my GameCube GBA player disc.
You know what's funny? My boxed N64 collection looks a lot like that. It looks very similar. Zelda, Mario, Mario Kart. I think I have Tetris and a Dr. Mario, or maybe Pokemon Puzzle League, but it's very similar. There just aren't a whole lot of games on the 64 that have held up. There just aren't very many.
No, there's not. I think if they made an N64 mini, they're not going to, but I think there's probably 8 games that really hold up on that console. All right, let's move over. This is my entire Wii U collection. I kind of feel the same way about the Wii U that I feel about the N64. It's a very small library, and I'm just not super into very many of the games.
Yeah. I liked the remakes, like the Twilight Princess and the Wind Waker remake. Yep. I thought those were great.
Yep, these are excellent. Twilight Princess, Wind Waker.
Breath of the Wild, which is technically a Wii U game, was great, but it was kind of too late.
Yep.
Yoshi never had a great Mario game, and I know people are going to say, ooh, Mario 3D World or whatever, but I don't get that game. It's not very fun for me.
I agree
not
completely.
What I wanted.
And this just standard blah 2D Mario, there's a million of them. Yoshi's Woolly World was a lot of fun. That's probably one of the better ones.
I do like that game. Yeah. That's true.
That's one of the better ones in the system. Game. But yeah, it's a small library, just like the N64. People kind of forget. There's not a whole lot of games in that library.
N64 was a very small library. The system itself really underperformed, especially in the US. And Super Nintendo, we had all these great RPGs and adventure games, and all of a sudden N64 comes out and it was like, where are all the role-playing games?
Yep.
Where are all these adventure games? And there were a handful of great games, and some of those didn't even age very well. Try playing GoldenEye in 2020 using the old controls. Good luck. Have fun.
The Switch in 2 years has far exceeded the quality and quantity of the Wii U library.
By far.
By light years.
Yeah.
In just 2 years. We're now almost 3 years into it, but it only took like 2 years for it to do that. If not less. These are some of my PS4 games. So my PS4 and my Switch are upstairs. And that's my main, my new current gen consoles are upstairs.
Yeah, current gen's always in the living room.
Exactly.
And then previous gens are all in the game room. Isn't that how this works?
Yep, that's how this works.
Yeah.
So these are just games that I've beaten, or I just don't really have room upstairs. I really do love the Tomb Raider games, so just saying. And that goes into my PS2 collection. I have a pretty decent sized PS2 collection. It's not the largest you're going to see on the internet by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, there were so many PS2 games. I mean, what, over 1,000 or 2,000? I don't know. How many PS2 games were there?
Probably 2,500.
An insane amount.
I have less than 100, but they're all 99% of them are garage sale finds, so I'm pretty happy that I have what I have.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't played a ton of them. I'll be honest. This is a system that I kind of missed out on back in the day. So I'm looking forward to going through a lot of these games now that I have everything set up and.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if you see anything here that you think I really need to try out. Let me know. Because I just have not played a ton of these. And that goes into the PS3 collection, which is pretty small. They're 100% garage sale finds. And honestly, most of the good ones I have and already played on the Xbox 360, like Red Dead Redemption and Batman Arkham Now, these are games that I played on the 360, and I found them in a garage sale. There are a few like Little Big Planet 3 and Little Big Planet Kart Racing. Those are obviously exclusive to the PlayStation. The Uncharted series got ported over to the PS4, so that's where I play those games. So, pretty small PS3 collection, but all garage sale finds. And then Xbox. I really love the Xbox 360. It's one of those systems that is just aged so well and still plays so well. Everything holds up. The hardware is still, except for the older Red Ring ones, the hardware holds up really well.
I mean, we were playing Modern Warfare 2 recently, and one of the insights I think you brought up was that these graphics, even though they're, 13 years old, still look pretty decent. And I know they're not current gen.
Excellent.
They hold up. Your eyes don't hurt. Your eyes don't strain watching it. Put in a PlayStation 2 game and tell me about those graphics. But dude, Xbox 360 does hold up.
Put in Black Ops 2 and look at the graphics in Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And compare those to a PS4 game. I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can barely tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And the Xbox 360 came out in 2005?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know.
The system was way ahead of its time.
It was.
And this library, I mean, it's a huge library. I don't have a ton of games, but, you know, there's, I don't know, 50 plus anyway.
Got a few OG Xbox down there.
Yeah, and then this goes into OG Xbox. It starts right here. I don't know if you can see very well.
Oh, dude, remember how I was saying I used to like Oddworld?
Yeah.
And how it was probably the only game on the PlayStation Mini that had held up.
Mm-hmm.
I take all that back. I downloaded it on PlayStation Vita, and I tried to play it. Dude, the game is a steaming pile of garbage. It is unplayable.
Really?
Dude, it is. We should start it up here on the PlayStation. I'll show you.
Okay, let's do it.
It's unplayable. I don't know. There's no other word to describe it. It's absolutely unplayable.
That's funny because I have good memories of Oddworld.
I do too. But dude, it was 1996, and I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, let's go into the PS1 collection at the very bottom. And I have one long box game that I found at an estate sale, and it doesn't fit anywhere, so that's why I put it up here. Johnny Bazooka Tone. I've never played it. Tell me if it's any good, if anyone's actually played it. And I'll have to get low here, but the PS1 collection, it's not the largest, but I do really like what I have. I've got all the Final Fantasies, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of the greatest games of all time. And there's quite a few of these that I haven't played. Legend of Dragoon, Chrono Cross. I never played those games, so I'm looking forward to. And a lot of racing games on this. Man, the PS1 had so many racing games.
Yeah, it did.
Anyway, and then Dreamcast. Let's not forget about my Dreamcast collection.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Wow, what is that? 6 games?
How many fishing games do you have on the
I
Dreamcast?
don't even know what this is.
Let me get
Soul Calibur.
Dude, the Dreamcast had so many fishing games and sports titles. It's I don't understand all these Dreamcast fans out there.
I don't either.
Is that Allen Iverson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Allen Iverson. Best 5'11" player in NBA history, probably. Yeah, the Dreamcast, the people who just drool and love the Dreamcast, it's baffling to me. It's so baffling.
80% of the library is shovelware.
I know. Like, how... okay, I get that Skies of Arcadia is great. Well, you know, it's on the GameCube. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you like the Dreamcast, tell me why. Tell me what you played back then and what you still enjoy.
Shenmue, I guess.
So there was the biggest chunk of games that I have. I don't know how many games are in this frame. Hundreds.
Yeah.
And then going over here, I have another flat screen TV. This has all of my mini consoles hooked up to it. Right now it's playing Earthbound on the Super Nintendo Classic. And so I've got the Sega Genesis down here, NES, Super, and the PlayStation Classic that is pretty much worthless.
It looks really cool,
It does.
but they really missed the mark on that one. We
Yeah.
We did a whole video on that.
And I've got room here for the TurboGrafx 16 Classic,
Oh yeah.
which comes out pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah. This TV here plays those classic console games really, really well with no noticeable input lag. My other big screen TVs have a massive amount of input lag, and it just becomes unplayable.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to find this at a garage sale. I think I paid $20 for this TV,
Not bad.
and everything plays really, really well. So
Nice.
there's another shelf up here. This shelf is tucked up way in the corner. And this is just sort of where I keep some stuff that I don't really have anywhere else to put. Most of these boxes are all empty because everything's hooked up somewhere. That's the original PlayStation box that I found this year at a garage sale, which that PlayStation is now hooked up. Brand new, never been used before. Just some other stuff. I really have tried to keep my collection just games and accessories. In other words, stuff like Amiibo and other toys. There's literally no end to the amount of that stuff you can put in a collection room.
I hear you.
And I've really tried to not collect that stuff because it can be tempting. Sometimes you go to a game con and they just hand you a swag bag full of that crap.
Yep.
I don't want my collection room to just be full of that stuff. I want my collection room to be games and TVs to play the games on.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff. It is tempting. I mean, this Link amiibo here looks really cool.
Mhm.
It's in that sort of 8-bit
Oh, yeah.
pixelated style. It looks awesome. I get the appeal of this, but you're right. There's no end to this.
Yep.
If you decide to collect amiibos, you can fill an entire room. And the next thing you know, you're buying Funko Pops,
Yep.
and then you might... Dude,
No, not me.
not me.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
Amiibo are pretty cool. I have like 5 of them. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
I have a
collect-
handful that I found at
Yeah.
yard sales. I don't have any Funko Pops because they're ugly and I hate them.
Agree completely. This you will recognize. We film right in front of here all the time when we do our videos. There's our cord to the light that Andy's holding right now. Don't mind
I'm the
that.
light guy.
Andy's
apparently.
the light guy.
Yeah.
So those boxes up there, the Dreamcast box, bought that at a yard sale for $5. It came with the system and a handful of sports games, but $5. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Original PS2 box, I believe, Andy. That is your original one, right?
It is. Yep.
That's my original Wii box. That is both of our original PS1 box and N64 box that
Yep.
we got as well. So the PS1, we say no, that was a Christmas present. This was Christmas '95.
Yep.
This was Christmas '96.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had both of those boxes since 95 and
Yep.
96, respectively.
Yep.
Yeah.
So everything just kind of looks really cool, pile on. Everything's at an angle here, and the reason that it's at an angle is because of glare. The light that we use, if I was to go head on, as you can see, it's already capturing glare up there. But I had to just put everything at an angle because these boxes just capture a ton of glare, and when we're filming, it just didn't look good. So
It's one of those, and everybody that does videos knows this. Like, you need a lot of light in your videos in order for everything to look good. But then the more light you have, the more glare you
More
have
glare.
on all of the product or all of the boxes and whatnot in your room. And it's like to try to find this happy medium of like bright light
yep,
with no glare. It's not easy to do.
that's how it works.
But
These are my better Super Nintendo games up here, and then it goes down to NES, and then at the bottom here, more NES, more Super, and then 64. So I'll just start up here. And every game that is front-facing that you can see right here were all garage sale finds, which I'm really happy. I mean, if you look at some of these games, we've got Lufia, lots of great Square RPGs, Earthbound, one of 3 Earthbounds that I found at garage sales. If you're new to the channel, go check out some of our videos and you'll see some of those Earthbound finds. Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, one of my all-time favorite games. Aero Fighters, which is by far my most expensive Super Nintendo game, or my most expensive video game, period. In
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
nothing is even close.
yeah,
I would say the second place most expensive is Pocky and Rocky 2 right there, and it's still worth probably half of what Aero Fighters is worth. Lots of other Super Nintendo games, Breath of Fire, ActRaiser. That game's kind of fun. Blackthorn. Remember we were playing that recently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's playable.
It's very quirky, but kind of cool.
Yeah.
Love me some Castlevania 4 and Final Fantasy 2. And then go down into some NES games here. I have 140 NES titles. These aren't in any super particular order. I have some Capcom games here, Konami games up here, and then lots of just your real good classics that everyone loves. Ninja Gaiden, Mario, Zelda. And this, I don't know if you can see it very well, but some of these are in this box here, which is a Nintendo branded thing where you just keep your games stored. I don't know, it's kind of cool. It was $1 at a garage sale. These are my black box games. Don't have a ton of them, but they're pretty cool.
There aren't a ton of them.
There aren't a ton, yeah. And I try to have a 1-to-1 ratio of games to game sleeves. And right now I actually still have an extra, 4 or 5 game sleeves. So
that's pretty good.
So yeah, every game here is in a game sleeve. My NES collection, even though I do have quite a few games, I don't really have any like super valuable games. I would say if you price charted my collection, Mega Man 1 is probably the most valuable.
Yeah.
So,
there are no DuckTales 2 or anything of that caliber.
Nope. Metroid. I have both versions of Metroid. Yeah, I mean, it's just nothing great, but I mean, a lot of these games are still really fun. Adventure Island 2, that's a really fun one. Paperboy. I think everybody rented Paperboy a ton. I don't know anyone that owned it.
I remember renting it a ton.
Yeah. And then some additional Super Nintendo games. Yeah, my Super Nintendo collection is, it's over 100. Some highlights. I mean, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Everyone loves that game.
That's a really fun game.
I've got all the Donkey Kong Countries. These two are just not complete in box. That's why they're loose here. Mega Man X. A lot of these are garage sale finds. Some of them aren't. At the end of a garage sale season, I've been known to take a bunch of extra games that I'm too lazy to sell on eBay and just take them to a game store and trade them in, which is what I did this year. And I ended up with Final Fight 2 and Conker's Bad Verde. So I added those two games to my collection this year. They were not garage sale finds. So this is most of my N64 collection. Those are the other ones that I showed you earlier. Yeah, the N64, I probably have 40 games. Like we talked about earlier, it's just not my favorite system. A lot of these games are really clunky to go back to. Ogre Battle, I'm curious to play. A lot of people really like that one. Haven't played it yet. Star Fox 64. I have a lot of great memories of that game on multiplayer, especially.
I only remember playing it on 4-player.
Yeah.
And you're right, it was very good, but I don't remember playing the campaign at all.
I don't either.
If we did, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't have the end label stickers that some people will buy for their 64 games.
Yeah, I understand why they do that, but I can't bring myself to do it because I don't know. It feels like I'm defacing a Nintendo product.
I agree completely.
And
I know.
Again, I don't blame anybody for doing it. I'm not accusing anybody of defacing it. I can't bring myself to do it. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm with you. Just some quick love to my vintage Star Wars collection. Did a video on that recently.
Heck yeah.
Just one little corner of goodness.
Nice stuff.
Yeah. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it yet, if you're interested in vintage Star Wars stuff. And the last item, maybe the most important item in the room.
Oh yeah.
Is a feather duster. It's kind of a small room. It's not as large as a lot of game rooms that I've seen.
It's got that sweet 80s wood panel walls.
Yep. And right now I'm just going to overlay a video of what the game room looked like before I remodeled everything. As you can see, it was messy, cluttered. There were just cords everywhere. I was drowning in cords. Controller cords, system cords. It was so messy. I would come down here to play a game and I couldn't even find the controller that I needed to play, and I would just give up and go back upstairs. So that's largely why I did this remodel. I really wanted to come down here and just easily and cleanly pop in a game and play it without having to, hang myself with a cord. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
If you like our video game content, subscribe to our channel. We'll try to have more videos like this in the future. Maybe one day Andy can do his game room tour.
Maybe one day he can.
Right now you're watching Phil's game room tour.
Yep.
And again, there's Earthbound. Some posters. And I'm gonna start playing the end music right now. Wait, is Earthbound one word or two words? It's like two words. Huh.